And we are live. Welcome to the Political Orphans. My name is Nico and I am your in-house conservative. To my left, Rob Ambrose, our token lefty. And together, we go through the trending. What's trending in the news? Our goal is simple. We want to show you that it is still possible for a lefty and a righty to get along. And if we don't get along, you know what we do? We have a civil conversation like human beings. Very strange concept, right? Because never forget that common sense has no political affiliation. What's going on, brother?
How's it going, brother? Had a bit of a snafu there as we're getting, but it's Friday, right? It's Friday. Gotta keep it light. Looks like we got a good show for you guys here today.
You know, I made a mistake. So if some people saw a weird stream coming called Unwoken, that's my other podcast. That's where I go deep in conspiracy theories.
Nico's porn search. So if you saw that, just pretend you didn't, because there's some weird stuff down there.
I'm happy I was actually dressed, because for all I know, I was just all naked and shit. And then your mother would have been like, "Hey, Nico."
Jody would have been so disappointed.
Hi, Jody.
She's actually in Mexico now. I don't know if she's watching. But if you are, hey, Mom.
Tough life. Fucking life.
It's that fuck. They just retired, so they're sort of enjoying it. The fruits of a life well lived.
Fucking baby boomers.
I know they're the worst, eh?
Yeah.
Prairie, how's it going? How's it going?
Man, you never miss a show.
No, we'd love to see the same faces again and again. It really it goes with kind of what we're trying to do here, right? Which is, create a community. Like, we like to see. It's funny because I never really thought, it wasn't until about 2 years ago when I started to build a following that I realized you actually build relationships with these people, eh? Yep. Like, 100%. You don't meet them, but like you see them.
What do you mean by these people?
Yeah, whoa, you people. But I remember there was one of my followers ended up dying like a couple months ago, and his wife had said something like, she came on and said, "Oh, hey guys, my husband died, but he just wanted to say thank you for," and it actually affected me. I was kind of, maybe someone remembers. I actually forget his name. I know his basically, their avatar, right? That's what you go by. But it was in the news a little bit because he died because I think he was from Quebec, and he went to the hospital for some issue with his heart, and they said, "No, you're good," and they sent him home, and the next day he was dead. And so that's why it kind of got. But if you follow me here from the GC community, you probably recognize him because he was a pretty big voice, and maybe speak up there. Nico.
Actually, it was the other way around, Prairie. He was on my show, but he was restreaming on his YouTube channel. So I was streaming on X, he was streaming on YouTube, but it was cool, man. It was cool.
What was he talking about?
He's very much like me. He's a bit more conservative. So we went
down some rabbit holes.
Yeah, but we were talking about politics, similar to what we were talking about, but he's more of a righty. And, it's interesting because he started creating content he really started getting popular when he covered the Freedom Convoy. Okay. So we started talking about that, and then it reminded me that I don't know that I've ever talked about this on this show, and it had been a long time since I talked about this, but during the pandemic, I was, there were protests everywhere, and I'm unvaccinated, right? So I couldn't do anything, but people were walking the streets, they were complaining. Like, I've been to protests in Montreal that had more than 100,000 people. Like, as much as the media was trying to tell you that it was a bunch, we were like 5 people in a corner. It was massive. And I've been to multiple places where there was that many people. So I know what 100,000 people look like. Yep. And instead of I did not want to go there with a negative energy. So instead, what I started doing is I walked around with free hug signs.
And you told me about that.
I gave thousands of a hug during COVID. And yesterday he was talking about this, and I'm like, bro, you might have seen me. If you saw a guy that was giving free hugs in Ottawa during the Freedom,
I saw a picture of a guy that had said free hand jobs. That was you too, right?
No, mine said free blow job. I'm not a fucking tease, bro.
Yeah,
come on. You think look at those lips, bro? You think I'm gonna use my hands when God gave me these?
Lips.
But we were talking about this. I even played one of the videos that I had made, and I'm there. Like I get emotional because, I tried to do it as I traveled the US. I continued doing free hugs, but it did not have the same impact because, like, doing it during COVID lockdowns when people are not capable of being within 6 feet of each other. And you have this guy that's just, come on, people, if you want to hug, I'm right there. So I got so many hugs, but from, what, the most, everybody's like, yeah, you must have a lot of gay guys and women grabbing your ass. I'm like, sure, but
It comes to the
what was,
territory.
I get that without the free hug
Yeah,
signs.
yeah. I don't need a
Don't
sign
worry
for
about
that,
it.
brother. That's just a
I'm
Tuesday
French.
night, man.
I'm French after all. Like, what the fuck? But it reminded me how impactful it was for the older people. The people that
I
are
remember you
above
told me
that
that
are in
when
their
we talked about that
60s
on
and
this show.
70s. So I showed the video and I remember those people because I've given thousands of hugs, but even in a 3.5 minute video, you can only squeeze 30, 40 hugs, right? But on that same day, I probably gave 1,000.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you don't keep track. It's like hug, 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 hug. And it's just the face. You see, when you're giving the hugs, it's not the same thing. When you look at the video and you see the
Yes.
faces of grown men, older women that are like, hey, man, it's so nice what you're doing. My family does not want to come see me. I'm always alone. I
Yeah.
don't have physical contact anymore. It just shows how we need,
We
like,
need that
human
contact,
beings
that
need
human
each
contact.
other. Yeah. If there's something I've learned through COVID, it was definitely that.
I
It's
think
not just me, right? It's everybody that wants that.
yeah, I think I mean, I remember thinking that when we talked about on the show before, you were telling how a lot of these people are breaking down and crying. And I think that sort of reinforces just how much we need this, right? I know a lot of the dialogue during that time was sort of left-wing people sneering at people who are against lockdowns, like, oh, you can't go to the bars, you can't go to the clubs. And it's like, no,
Yeah.
motherfucker, it's not that. It's that
No.
we're social animals and we need each other and we need to have social human contact just for our well-being. I think there's I remember hearing about a study. I don't know if it's true or not, but I'd like to believe it is. I think it would be, where like they did some, back hundreds of years ago, where you could do whatever unethical experiment you wanted, and they wanted to see.
Sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
I just wanted to just
They
go ahead.
wanted to see what would happen if you raised children you gave them the necessities of life, food, shelter, but you didn't give them any human care, and like most of the
They're
babies
gonna be
died.
fucked.
They died.
Oh, yeah,
Like they didn't
yep.
survive, and I think I believe that to be true. I think it's really easy to overlook how important that is to us. And I think if there's ever I mean, we talked about maybe lockdowns in the future. I don't think it would ever happen. I think even people who weren't mobilized then will absolutely be mobilized now. I'm one of them. But I think whatever, if that ever enters the discussion again, that kind of stuff has to be centered. You can't just ignore that stuff and dismiss it as like, oh, you want to go to the club. Like, no, man, that isn't it. Like you're ignoring a fundamental thing about what it is to be human. And I think, yeah, actually, I'd like to see this video. I think when you see, grown-ass adults breaking down
Look,
because
that's the one. That
wow.
guy, just looking at it, I'm gonna get emotional because that guy thanked me. Like, obviously, it's a 2-second video.
Yep.
Like, it's really 2-3 seconds long, but just thinking about it, I'm gonna start crying. Look at his face. Literally, it's a grown man. It's like the age of your father, and he just hugged me like, hey, bro, like, thank you for what you're doing. Like, this is, and it's,
I'm
I don't know if you like the video.
Sorry, go ahead.
Do you want to watch it? Like, it's 2.5. It's
Yeah,
2.5
I'd love to
video,
watch
but it's just, this is just one. And by the way, I had a massive stash back in the days.
Shit,
like,
yeah. Well, no wonder you got all the blowjobs and hand jobs with that mustache. I mean, you don't need a sign.
I could roll this shit. It was so long, but
that mustache is a free blowjob sign right there. But
oh,
yeah,
see,
that's
they
twiddling.
showed it. Hey guys, because I know Cindy's there, I know Prairie's there. I know you guys seems like you saw it yesterday. Do you guys mind if I play it again? Because it's like 3 minutes long.
No,
there's no talking. It's just music with people. It's just, I've done so many of those. When I rewatched it yesterday, I'm like, damn,
is that your
I
wife
forgot
there?
No. That's a girl. That's a girl I was dating way back.
Okay. Yeah,
and
sure.
the thing is no, it's fine. She's seen those videos before.
Okay.
But I think the third event that we did, we were like 6 or 8 of us. I started, if I had the followings I had today,
Yeah.
we would have been 50 or 60 people showing up
Nice.
to those events. That would have been cool. That would have been very cool. But if you want to watch it, it's 3 minutes
Yeah,
long.
I'd like to see it. I think I think the
even-
audience wants to see it. There's
Jason just wants me to see me hug people. That's
Yeah,
it.
Jason wants more
You're
of that
just so
mustache.
you're just so gay.
Guy Fawkes. Nice. I love that.
Man, that guy. You know, man, when this video was playing, I had a guy that had a massive account back then.
Yeah.
Restreamed it. I think there were at least 10 to 20,000 people that were watching that event live. My buddy was holding a camera, like similar to the camera I'm using right now, with my cell phone at the bottom, recording it, like displaying it live on social. It was awesome. Like, look at the amount of people. It's just like a sea of people.
Well, let me just, it's funny watching that as a lefty, because it's just such a difference from what I was told was, that whole thing was all about, the freedom convoy and whatnot. It was all hate, right? It was hateful, and it was bigots and right-wing, far-right bigots. And even then, I didn't really believe that, but like that's definitely the dominant narrative. And it's interesting to see that sort of juxtaposition of that video versus the narrative. And yeah, I just kind of wanted to use the word juxtaposition there, but it is, it's, it's kind of like what we were talking about just a few minutes ago, like the power of human touch, right? I mean, it isn't disinformation, to push back against these not just lockdowns, but anything that causes division to us, right? That causes separation, because at the end of the day, and not to be too sappy here, but like, we're all each other has, there's a couple billion of us on this planet, but that's all that we know of in the entire universe right now. And, I think we need to be careful about things that will get in between the cracks and push and push and push. And that's essentially what this podcast is about. It's trying to push us back together a little bit. So yeah, that was a super cool video. It made me sort of feel a little misty. I had to fight it back so I don't look like a little bitch sobbing here on the show, but it was really cool. Beef on a bun. Wish I was with you. My mother died during COVID, and the fact they kept her locked up was criminal. I'm not sure if this was you that had, because when we talked about that a couple weeks ago, beef. Someone else had mentioned a similar story. I don't know if that was you, but you hear
It
that
was
story
me.
again. Yeah,
It was
you
me.
hear
My
you hear the
grandmother died alone during COVID. My
that is
aunt,
criminal.
like my grandmother, like my family's from Quebec City. I was in the woods back then, and it was, imagine March 2020, when we're literally thinking that zombies are coming. Like, we're watching the news, and it's like we're right at the beginning where we don't fucking know what's gonna happen. I'm like, my grandmother that's in her 90s. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna go see her. Like, again, if that's what God wants me, if I'm gonna die that day, it's not up to me, bro.
Yeah,
I went, and bro, you should have seen this. It was horrifying. She was so skinny. She was alone in her room because obviously she was in a old folks home back then.
yeah.
My aunt wasn't able to take care of her anymore. Like, she needed supervision day in, day out. But there was my aunt and me that went. All of our other children didn't go. The grandchildren didn't go because everybody was scared. And I'm just, did this, if I think that this is what woke me up when I saw my grandmother in a ball on her bed alone, like she had been tortured for
Basically,
months. Because I don't know if you remember this, but they locked those things down.
Oh yeah,
Those
like
old
even
folks
in
home.
the rooms, they didn't even have the
They,
care of a care agent bathing
no,
them. You know what I mean? Like they
no,
didn't have
no.
anything.
So, brother, beef
Anything.
on a bun. I feel bad for you, bro. I know exactly what you went through, and you know, I would say in hindsight now, that's probably what inspired me to do that, because I
Yeah.
did it every single protest in Quebec and Ottawa. I showed up, I went, and I just gave free hugs. And you know, this is the part that's always funny too, because the left never mentioned the fact that a conservative guy like me would do something like that. You would automatically assume as a guy that I'm a very leftist hippie type of guy, and I think we can both agree that I am not that guy. It's just I felt the need. My political affiliations had nothing to do with giving somewhat of human interaction to people that haven't had any in months. I could not give a fuck that you were woke, that you were Christian, that you were somewhere in the middle. If you wanted a hug, bro, I didn't even care. I was hugging homeless people that smelled like shit just because they wanted hugs too. I didn't care. At
Yeah.
this point, I was just there to share love with people. And man, I it had been a few years since I had taught remember. I don't think I remembered until yesterday. I don't think I realized how impactful it was then, and how when I did it afterwards, when it wasn't during COVID, it was not the same. Like
Mhm.
it did not feel the same.
There's an energy, right? There's an
It was
energy,
done at the
that
perfect time
pent
with
up
the perfect
demand.
intentions when people needed it. Giving
Yeah,
hugs to people now, okay, cool. People will give them, but they
but it's
didn't
different.
need them.
It's
They
different.
did
Yeah,
not, they needed it. And it didn't matter the protests. They wanted human interaction, which,
yeah.
man, it's kind of cool. I had forgotten about that.
Curious Georgia, right? We have the same enemy, and it's not each other. I mean, couldn't agree more. You know, I think the media would have us
Ding.
believe that people like me and Nico are mortal enemies, and we can't just disagree. We have to hate each other, and not just us
Yeah.
two, but everyone else. You know, I think just probably because of the Bernier thing, we've got more of our followers right now are right wing, I think. But I think the Billboard Chris thing on Monday, and that's a good segue into that, will probably bring some more
Good
left
call.
wing followers onto this. But you know, I'm not your guys' enemy. You're not mine. I don't hate you. I hope you don't hate me. I think, you know, I just think there's a need for this kind of show, and to push back against it, because as we see time and again, I mean, sometimes I almost feel like we should find things to disagree about because we seem to be on the same page, you know, more often than not. But I think that is how it is. I think if,
But that's the
you know,
reality.
a sane righty and a sane lefty sit down
Yeah.
and go through piece by piece, I think they're going to find common ground, you know, on that 80% of the time. The
But it
media
is the
focus,
reality.
yeah, the
It
media
is the
focuses on
reality.
that 20. So, I mean, that's sort of the narrative that we're pushing back against. And just because we're talking about that, I am going to plug that now, guys. Don't forget to
Yep.
smash the like button. Follow us if you appreciate the content that we create here. But on Monday, we are going to have a special guest. We're going to have Billboard Chris speaking here, which is, I don't know if you're into the GC community, the gender critical community, but he is a very staunch activist of They'll call him anti-trans or transphobic. What he actually is a women's rights activist and a child safeguarding activist. And he also is a big proponent on, men and just uplifting men, and that men are sort of in a crisis right now. And that's something that's sort of near and dear to both mine and Nico's heart. And so it's going to be a really interesting conversation, and we hope you guys tune into that.
Yeah, so that will be on Monday at 12 noon Eastern, between 12 and 1. So if you want to see, if you have questions for him, if you want to know anything about him, if there's something that you would like to ask him, let us know. That's why we do it live. I also wanted to say something before I forget. We will be starting today, we will be re-airing these shows. So yes, they're recorded between 12 and 2 Eastern, but starting tonight. So if you're watching this right now and it's not between 12 to 2, chances are you're not live. But we still want you to comment. We still want you, because I will be monitoring the re-showing of this show. But every night, starting now, Monday to Friday, we will be replaying this live at 7 p.m. Eastern on both the Political Orphans, my page, Rob's page. I'll replay it on the YouTube channel. So wherever you're watching it right now, you can rewatch it at night, because I don't think that we get as much people watching it between 12 to 2 as we can during 7 to 9.
That's right. And we're always going to have a special place in our hearts for our live show audience, right? We definitely love engaging with you guys. But yeah, I mean, but for sure, I think there's going to be a lot of value just in restreaming that at the times when most people are home from work or whatnot.
Yep. One of the things, hold on. One of the things I wanted to mention is, it's one thing to like this show, to comment on it. One thing that I would love for the people on X to do is to reshare it. Yes, I'm going to start asking you this, and I'm not begging. It's just that if you like the show, that is a way you can encourage us. That's the way that we're going to bring it in front of more people and have great conversations like right now. Like, I can look at the chat right now and people are talking amongst each other. So the community aspect of things, this is what I want. Like, you have Cindy Irwin that's talking to beef on a bun. So, this is what Rob and I want. So if you guys enjoy this show, don't just like it or comment, share it on your X, share it on your page. There's literally a share button at the top of the live. All you have to do is to click on it and shove it on and put it on your page, so that more people can see it.
Especially if you believe in the mission, right? If you believe like we do, that really we aren't each other's enemies, and we have to get back to a place where we don't see each other as it, and we're going to get into, I'm not going to tease it too much, but there's a Gavin Newsom interview that we're going to talk about, and he's getting shit from all over the left just for talking to Charlie Kirk. So we'll dig into that then, but that's a perfect example of what I mean. I was thinking, like, why? What's so wrong with sitting down from someone from the opposite aisle and not hating them and just talking like normal human beings?
Shit. No, but so Cindy Irwin is happy about Billboard Chris, but this is what I was laughing about. At this point, Prairie and I should be singing karaoke together.
What would you guys sing? What
oh no, please encourage him. He sucks. Boo, Jason, boo. No, but
take me home.
We were 25 minutes in. I haven't even asked you the question of the day.
Yeah, let's get to that.
Is Trump forcing Democrats to become less woke? That's the question that I have for you guys. Is because Trump somewhat is trying to bring back common sense, at least that's what he says he's doing. And if you've noticed the cultural shift since he's become president for a second time, are you starting to see Democrats being less and less woke? And I have two perfect examples today, because as you mentioned, we're going to talk about Gavin Newsom and what he said to Charlie Kirk. But there's one thing I wanted to talk about prior to that, and it's to give you guys an update on Al Green, not the singer that Jason's probably singing right now.
I think it's the same guy, though. The congressman is the singer, is what Jason was. Jason, chime in here, but I'm pretty sure that was the case. Yeah, I
No,
think
no,
that's him in his
the other
younger
guy
days.
was a super dark black guy. That guy was like white as vanilla.
Okay,
Like,
Jason, just help us out here. But okay, no, I'm
no,
wrong. Okay.
yeah, I'm like, wow, the years have been rough
Wow,
on you,
yeah.
bro. You did not age well.
The Michael
But
Jackson treatment.
ouch. Yeah, but Michael Jackson was kind of self-inflicted on that one. Like,
Yeah,
let's
I'm
not
saying
lie to
he
each
got
other.
significantly lighter over the years. But I don't know. I don't.
Yeah,
That's a touchy subject. I don't know. We'll move on.
I don't care. It seems like Beyonce is doing the same
Yeah,
thing. Did
I
you
was just
notice
gonna
that?
say that.
Like Beyonce was super dark. Now you're like,
And now blonde hair too. And it's funny how that's not
yeah.
cultural appropriation.
No, but
But
hold on. Not only that, but she's singing country music too.
interesting. And not that it
Culture,
should be. There should be no
culture
problem with that.
appropriation.
Yeah,
No,
you
of
know,
course.
I believe everyone should do whatever the fuck they want. I'm just saying, pointing out the
But you know what?
hypocrisy.
I'm just gonna point this out, Jason. If she's allowed to go white, I'm allowed to do blackface. Just gonna say.
I'm not
Did you
touching that. I'm not touching that.
hold up? Well, I don't give a fuck. Everybody thinks I'm racist and I hate women, so I'm gonna throw it out there. Did you ever see the skid on shit? What's the name of the Jewish comedian? He's often on Joe Rogan. He's tall, he's skinny, he's fucking hilarious, but he's so politically incorrect. Like, oh man,
Tall and Jewish.
yeah. Well, he sounds Jewish. I assume he's Jewish. I don't know if he
It's
actually
not Pete
is.
Davidson. He's the only
No,
one.
no. He talks about, because I'm gonna find it since we're on the
Okay.
blackface. It's a blackface video comedian. Let me see if I can find it. I just cannot remember what the name of the guy is. He's a tall, skinny guy with a mustache. Andrew Schultz.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
the guy.
Cindy, thank you so much for that. We really appreciate that.
Okay. This
Jason. we let the first kids. Okay, you get one. You're so talented. You get one kid. After that though, like at least keep it under wraps, man. Like don't make it so obvious. Essentially, is what we said to him.
What are you talking about?
Jason here. He says we love Michael Jackson so much we let the first kid slide.
Okay, Jason is black. He gets to say that.
Yeah, he's.
I get to laugh at it,
Yeah.
but since it's Friday, we keep it light on Friday. Everything I have today is funny, so we're gonna keep it lighter. Because yesterday I went overboard. I think I went all week. I went like
super,
so
yeah, super
today,
dark. Oh yeah, it was funny last Friday when we had all these like funny light things, and at the end it's like dead kids in Palestine. Like, ooh. Talk about a vibe shift.
But you know, I'm a big fan of Andrew Schultz. I don't know how he is in person. I haven't met him yet. I will one day. I'm sure I'll interview him one day. But for now, this is one of my favorite skit that he made, and it's about blackface. When is blackface ever okay? You guys tell me. There's exceptions.
Is sometimes life or death makes even the most offensive situation tolerable.
Is it super laggy?
It's laggy, but the audio is fine. So I mean, I think it's probably
no. But you know what? What I'm gonna do is because I'm streaming it off the platform. Normally, I always download the video.
Yep. If you want to find it, I'll just.
You guys are
beef here.
Yeah, I'll just close it because you guys don't need to see my porn tabs.
Porn searches, yeah. Fucking midget,
oh shit!
Quadriplegic midgets? That's a weird one.
We did that to people at my old job. We worked in an office setting, but it was a startup. And if you let your computer unlocked and you left it, we would always put the same video. It was a black guy with like a 12-inch cock that was doggy styling a little midget.
Oh shit!
It was the fucking funniest thing ever, and we would just lock a computer with that playing in the background. Like,
I'm assuming there was not an HR department in this company.
Oh, hey, bro, we literally had Nerf guns on
almost like
our desk.
Wolf Wall Street corporate environment. Yeah.
There was
midgets at the wall.
Bro, there were beer kegs in the kitchen at all times. We had sales kickoff, bro. I smoked a joint with the CEO of the company. Like, we have a sales kickoff. Like, in Canada, it was legal, so it wasn't even illegal. But it's just we're singing a sales kickoff in a cabin in the woods. We're like 50 of us, and we're smoking weed. We're getting smashed. Like, it was like Wolf of Wall Street without the cocaine. Because I know I've never done cocaine, but
hell of a drug.
No. Yeah, cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug. Yeah, Dave.
I got the video
that
here.
That was gold, eh? Do you want to put the video on there?
Yeah.
All right, like this comment. We'll come back to that beef.
It's just
What I'm
loading
trying
right
to say
now.
is sometimes life or death makes even the most offensive situation tolerable. Okay?
That's
Even
for you,
racist
Jason.
Situations. Like, for example, blackface is wrong. Racist, cannot do it. We agree? We agree. Okay, good. Blackface is wrong. Can't do it. Good.
I love that he points
it?
at black guys.
Blackface is wrong.
But
Well, I have to ask the black faces. I can't ask the fucking rest of you. Your opinions don't matter. It's up to them. They make the rules.
Man, his timing is.
Blackface is wrong.
he's
It's
my
racist.
favorite
You cannot
stand-up
do it,
comedian right
okay?
now.
I've actually never heard of him.
Under no circumstances.
He's
Cannot do it.
brilliant.
Then you see them Navy SEALs commercials. You're like, all right, well, kind of. Sometimes you could do it, right? The whole Navy SEALs commercial is like, look how cool blackface is on a helicopter. Look how cool blackface is on a boat. Blackface in the water. They can swim. I don't know if they say that. I don't know if they say that. I might have added that part. I might have added that part. That's on me. But I'm just saying, a life or death situation, it changes the stakes. Let's say, for example, me and you, we're going on a mission to save America from high gas prices. When gas is like $1.50, America is very progressive, right? We're like, you have to respect all the cultures of the world. Gas gets at $5, we're like, yo! They might need some democracy out there in the Middle East, Biden. See this $5? How they make women dress like that when gas is $5, Biden? They just throwing gay people off buildings when gas is $5? Liberate those people. So let's say, for example, you and I are going on a mission, save America. The mission takes place at 1 a.m. That is an important piece of the information on the call sheet. You have your complexion. I have the complexion of an iPhone flashlight. If you don't give me blackface, we're fucking dead. I'm a disco ball in the desert. They're gonna see us from a mile away. It's headshots for the both of us. You wanna see her again? You gotta paint me the fuck up, bro. Full thing. You don't have to do the lips and the tap shoes. That's a little bit much, but you gotta paint me up. You gotta paint me the fuck up if you wanna survive. You're not gonna let me go on that mission with you without putting on blackface for your safety. Just like I'm not gonna let you smile. There's certain things, guys, there's certain things that we have to do so we get home. Those beautiful white teeth, lighting up the night, I can't take that risk. I can see white people in the crowd looking for black people to see if it's okay to laugh at this joke. And the fact that you're having trouble finding them is exactly the point that I'm trying to make, okay? It's about privilege.
Man,
All right, I understand I have white
save
privilege, okay? But you have night privilege, and we need to bring those together. Don't get me wrong, we get pulled over on the ride home, that's where I take care of business.
You didn't know of Andrew Schultz?
No, I
Bro.
love that you showed him to me.
All of his comedy is like that. He's very edgy. He does not give a fuck.
Well, honestly, I mean, that's to me, that's the role of comedy, is to say the things that polite society can't, so that we can assess what we can say and what we can't. And I feel like in today's time, right now, like there's more need than ever for these comedians, because everyone knows, you know, you're a comedian, you get away with it. That's why I think when you do see them trying to cancel comedians, I think that's egregious. I mean, I'm against cancel culture in general, but I think that's uniquely bad when you start to try to cancel comedians, because that is their role in society, is to you know, to test the waters for those of us that might be, you know, let's say people who have a job that they don't want to lose because of a tweet that they made or whatnot. I mean, there's an actual role for that.
Do you know where that comes from? The real, if you look at history, jesters, which are comedians now,
absolutely,
were hired by kings in order to make fun of them. They were the only one in the kingdom, and every time the king did something wrong, the jester would show up and fuck with the king. That was their job, their responsibility. And so
And that's how everyone knew.
That's
That's how the public knew where the line was
Yeah.
with the king, based on the jester, which is actually pretty interesting.
Do you know what he's talking about here? Because this
Yeah.
is
Yeah, that's a great
And-
point, Jason.
because I'm so quick and I'm so awesome. As I saw that from Jason, I actually found a little piece of information
hell are
right
we?
here.
Dang Crook River.
Tropic Thunder.
Yes, sir.
Down
Nico,
into
your
here.
mic's a little
Well, we find
choppy.
that,
It's not
dude.
too bad, but maybe
go.
just tighten the
I'm
cable
not
there.
feeling so good right now. Seriously, my skin hurts.
Nuts from the peanut gallery. Into the water, ladies.
No, man. Let me take a look at that map right quick.
Why is everybody all obsessed with the map?
Because we're tired of being your trail donkeys, acting like you some one-man GPS. God damn it! We lost. We fucking super lost, man.
We went full
Tell 'em,
retard.
McCluskey. Tell them what time it is.
I don't believe you people.
What do you mean, you people?
What do you mean, you people?
Huh?
I think what
Oh,
Tug
man.
means is you
No,
people,
look at
you
his eyes,
actors,
man.
you people.
Look at that beady. Why are you talking to me?
I gotta get back to the actors.
Chill. All right? Just
No
chill.
recoil on that rifle whatsoever.
Now, let's go get those Viet Congs.
Viet Cong.
What?
It's Viet Cong. There's no S. It's already plural. You wouldn't say Chinese's.
I haven't seen that movie in so long. It was such a good get.
So
Alright.
is the phone still cracking?
Yeah, actually, cracking a little bit. I don't know. It's still going.
There has to be a bug with the software. If I play a video off YouTube and I play the sound, my microphone starts cracking. Is the dumbest
Oh,
thing.
okay. Even right now, I think it's better right now. So maybe that's what.
But
it is.
if it starts cracking, let me know. I'll just get out and come back in. It is
Yep.
what it is.
Actually,
The
yeah, I
weirdest
mean,
fucking thing.
it is still cracking. If you want to get out there, I'll just go down
Okay.
in the comments. Jason, comedy is the last bastion of hope for free speech. Both Schultz and Jamie Foxx said on the Rogan podcast, you got to let artists work. Couldn't agree more. I mean, that's how you have to think of artists comedians as artists, and they aren't just for entertainment. Like they play a valuable role and function in society in exactly doing that, finding out where the boundaries are, in times like now where free speech is really under attack. I think that is uniquely important. Prairie, same thing. Exactly. That's what comedy is. And that's what free speech is about. The ability to say something, even if it offends something or somebody. Again, I couldn't agree more. And I think, and this is especially for my fellow progressives and lefties, we really just got to do a culture shift where we have to get away from this idea that being offended is the worst thing in the world, because it isn't. Right? It's bad for it's bad for society. It's bad for our kids. They have no resiliency. You know, the ability to sort of pick yourself up and dust yourself off is an imperative life skill, and we're denying that to our kids. Prairie, cracking mic. Yeah, she's.
Is it still cracking? Is it okay now?
It's a little bit, but it's not.
But that would destroy it.
What do you guys think? Can you like? To me, it sounds a little cracky, but it's not as bad as it was.
No, but it doesn't matter. That's fucking annoying when you have a microphone. You know what? Give me 2 minutes. I'll be back.
Yeah, no worries. I got some questions here. All right, my question: what happened in your life that you have to gesture for a king? Yeah, I mean, is that? I gotta imagine that's probably not something you want to do, because I know that a lot of jesters in their role as pushing the boundaries on the king, sometimes you go too far and he ends up getting impaled or skinned or executed in some horrific way. And that's how the rest of the townspeople say, "Ooh, yeah, okay, stay away from that one." Kids, yeah, don't make, yeah, okay. So if you're gonna don't crack jokes about kids with the king, because apparently that's his sensitive spot. I did want to go back to something Beef said. Maybe the more desperate the left gets, standard of living wise, it will drive them ever more towards the middle. And this is an attempt to answer the question of the day, which is, do you think that Donald Trump is forcing Democrats to become less woke? I'm just reading along the bottom. That's why it took me a second. And I guess my answer to that is, I don't think it's Donald Trump. And I don't think anyone's forcing them. In fact, it seems like They are fighting this for for all they're worth. I think what's happening is there's a culture shift, and I don't think Donald Trump is the cause of it. I think Donald Trump is a symptom of it. I think Donald Trump, that this culture shift is the reason that Donald Trump, or a large part of the reason why, not even that Donald Trump got elected, but why Kamala Harris lost. Essentially, the left, we got high on our own supply. We overplayed our hand. We started, so many things on the left. You've got these movements that were all necessary and good and had to happen. Women's rights, gay rights, civil rights, and in a lot of them, there's still a lot of work to be done, especially in civil rights. But at the end of the day, you can't keep pushing forever. You can't legislate attitude. At some point, the job, as I see it, of the activists, the progressive activists, is to remove any legal or policy discrimination against these groups and then leave it. The culture will catch up. Culture will be downstream of policy. But it's almost like they're taking, well, if there's one homophobe out there, if there's one misogynist, then that means we need to keep legislating. We need to keep putting policy. And that's wrong. I mean, you can over legislate, you can over police. And that is exactly what the left has done. And there's the society is spitting that back out. And the reason why it's so harmful for Democrats to do this, push this wokeism, is because a lot of these things are necessary. They're good things, and we don't want to remove or roll back those things. I saw a stat the other day that said gay support for gay marriage on the right went down from 55% like 3 years ago to like 26% now. Now, as a liberal, a lefty, for me, I don't see that as a good thing. I think that we were and I can tell you exactly why that is. It isn't the LGBs, it's the TQ plus. Everyone was fine. We got to a place where I think society was happy, saying, okay, yeah, I accept the argument that homosexuals exist and they should be allowed to exist and they should not be discriminated against in law and policy. But what we didn't agree with, what necessarily, and when you added the TQ plus to that, we said on the left, as progressives and liberals, we said, yeah, sure, why not? What's the harm in calling that man she or her? Just because that was in our nature, it was just an easy thing for us to do. But we never agreed that humans can change sex, men can become women, and that male-bodied people should be allowed to compete in women's sports, should be placed in women's prisons, and should be allowed to use women's bathrooms and change rooms. That was never part of the deal. And so, of course,
but it's more than that, though. It's more than that. Like I'm going to stop you right there. As a righty, I can tell you that the reason why a lot of people on the right, especially Christians, do not believe in gay marriage is marriage is a union that was made between you and God. My wife and I, when we got married, I made a vow to her and to God. Most gay people don't believe in God. So they're not saying that we don't want gay people to be able to be in a union, in a partnership, or by law being together. What they don't like is the marriage portion, because that was a church thing. That was a Christian thing that was done. And that is the part that bothers them, because at the end of the day, like it or not, in the Bible, it's very fucking clear that being homosexual is not okay.
Well, I mean, sure, but that's the Old Testament, right? And there's a lot of other things in the Old Testament that also are, you know what I mean? So you can't...
It's one of those things, as a Christian, I don't understand. I don't get that part, because who the fuck cares? This is the way I see it. If what you're doing, if you're not fucking with kids, bro, and whatever you do, let's assume that God doesn't want gay people to don't want people to be gay. You can deal with he'll deal with you when you get up there. It ain't my fucking job to tell you what you can and cannot do. It ain't. All I'm trying to explain is one of the reasons why a lot of people on the right, or that it probably went down, is that they feel better saying it out loud because we're no longer woke. So because it's switching more to the middle, they're like, listen, and I understand them. I'm not saying that they're right or they're wrong. I'm just saying I get what they're saying, because they're talking about a union in front of God. And most of the gay men or gay women that are getting married don't really care about God. Some of them do,
there's a lot
but
of
a lot of them don't.
That believe in God. I believe, probably not, maybe most, but there's a significant minority.
But it's not just God. You're talking about this is a Christian thing. right? The type of marriage that they want is a Christian thing. That's what bothers people on the right. I'm just saying, again, the fuck do
Yeah,
I
yeah.
care? Personally,
Well, it's-
I'm a live and let live type of guy, so I don't really give a fuck. But I'm just saying that this is where I've heard the argument made before.
Sure,
Where
sure. And I mean,
so it is
if
what
you
it is,
want to,
man.
yeah, I get what you're saying. I mean, obviously, marriage as an institution is found throughout all the world, and it isn't just a Christian thing. And if sort of the Christian side of the right wants to separate that aspect from it, I mean, again, I don't care. Like, but for me, as a liberal, a progressive, what's important to me is just that they're not discriminated against in law and policy, right? So if you want to call it a civil union, whatever you want to call it, I don't care, as long as they have the same rights as everyone else. I mean, that is fundamentally what I would push for. And right now they do. And that's why with the trans community, when they were like, oh, trans rights, you ask them a question, tell me one right that trans people don't have that everyone else does. And they'll never answer it because there is no answer.
But there's no, they can't. The same way as when women tell me they need to be freed, I'm like, I can argue that women have more rights than men do. We can only vote because we face conscription. That was the deal. Women don't have that, at least not right now in the US, not right now in Canada. But, you know, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole because I wanted this show to be funny. But just before, I'm just going to take the comment from Jason where he says that before Christians want to preach about leaving kids alone, clean your own freaking house. Real Christians don't shun you. They don't condemn you. You're going to preach Christ to you. Bro, this is such a misconception. And people out there that are not Christians, stop putting Christians on a pedestal as they cannot be wrong. Always remember, Tim Keller said it best. The church is a hospital for sinners and not a museum of saints. I am flawed. I make mistakes and I will continue to make mistakes. If there's one thing, I believe in three things. I will continue fucking up because I'll never be perfect. One day I will die, and when I do, I'll meet my maker. Those are the three things that run my life. That's what I believe in. So for you to tell me that a real Christian, you don't know what a fucking real Christian is, because there was just one, and he was called Jesus Christ. And I don't know for you, but I've never met him. So all I'm saying is we're all flawed. It's like me. You're telling me that I can't say to people to leave kids alone. That's where I draw my line. Clean your fucking house. It's not my house to clean. Is it your house to clean? As a lefty, does that mean that because there's predators on your side, I should accuse you to clean your own house? That's not how it works, bro. I'm not responsible for other people and the way they act. I don't condone the Catholic Church as a whole. I don't believe in the Catholic Church. I believe in one thing. It's the Bible itself. You don't get to pick and choose what you want to do and not do. That's the thing. But at the same time, I'm not responsible for other Christians. I'm just responsible for me. I call out the Christians more than anybody else that I know. That treat contents, I will be the first one to call them out when they're wrong. And they've been wrong a lot, but so have you. So have your left side. So has the red side. So has the middle side. Like, everybody is wrong. So stop, like, take it down like 20 notches and don't put me on a pedestal because I'm a Christian. Like, you're saying a Christian, bro. I'm just saying it's because I hear that argument all the time. Like, people tell me you should be a real Christian.
Yeah,
like,
Jason's clarifying he didn't mean you personally, just sort of go the argument. But that's fine. Yeah,
that's fine, because people accuse me of that all the time, and that's always the same speech. I'm like, hey, bro, I never claimed to be perfect. On the contrary, I'll be the fucking first one to tell you that I'm not. If there's one thing I'm sure of, is I'm not fucking perfect, and my wife can roll attest to that right now, man.
I bet she's over there right now, like, oh, yeah.
Hold on. No, you know, they say a man as he grows older, he stops hearing, like, a man that is married will stop hearing a high-pitched voice. Did you know that?
I did not.
So I think it's the same thing for my wife. Like, she stops hearing deeper voices. She's just like, she's there doing something, not paying attention. So I think she's so used to hearing me talk right next to her that she doesn't listen at all.
And just before we move on, I do want to just address Jason's sort of point, because you hear all the time, like, people will be like, oh, well, worry about the priests and this and that. But the thing is no one's making excuses for priests. Certainly not these days. Right?
I know I'm not. I know I'm not.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's almost like they're saying, oh, the pedophiles are cool as long as they're on our pedophiles. And we're over here saying there's no, like, fuck all of the pedophiles. If you're a priest,
Agreed.
if you're a coach, if you slapped on a dress and taken the trans identity. And I mean, that's actually a good example of sort of the issue here. Like back the Catholic priest scandal happened because we created a sacred caste of men within society who could not be questioned. And that is what happened. And now we're doing the exact same thing when we have with trans people. Like for the most people on the left, they will act as if trans, because I hear all the time, oh, well, trans women in bathrooms aren't the problem. It's cis men that are the problem. Well, what do you think fucking trans women are? They're just dudes, right? They're men who have thrown a dress on, and they act like that very act means that
YouTube.
Yes, of course.
Rob does not know.
Trans women are women, and everybody knows this.
So let's not go down that rabbit hole. Let's, you know what? I wanted to keep this light because it is Friday. So we're in already. So I wanted to keep it funny, but the first video I wanted to show, although this is going to be the third one, is for you. Like that video's for you just because you remember Al Green, what happened to him? Like the
congressman
the congressman,
he got kicked out of the State of the Union address.
Yeah, the congressman from Texas who's a Democrat, the guy that started yelling at Trump. There's something interesting that happened yesterday. They were saying that there's going to be consequences for what he's done.
Yep.
And he was okay with having those consequences. Like he's like, we saw the interviews, like no problem. But what's interesting is that some Democrats are siding with Republicans.
Interesting.
Which I found extremely interesting. And I got a video for you. So you tell me what you think about this. But this is what stemmed the question. Like, is there a switch? Like, is there a vibe switch going on right now where Democrats are starting to wake up? The video's loading right now.
Okay.
And we have some breaking news this hour. Congressman Al Green has just been censured by the House of Representatives. Let's bring back congressional correspondent Nicole Killian, who's live for us at Capitol Hill this morning. Nicole, tell us more about what just happened.
Yeah, well, as you mentioned, Texas Congressman Al Green was censured by the House. 10 Democrats crossed party lines to support this censure measure. This is more or less a slap on the wrist for Congressman Green, who told reporters after leaving the House floor Tuesday night that he was willing to take whatever punishment he ultimately may receive. Now we know that punishment being a censure, so it is a mark on his record, but obviously he still is part
slap on the wrist.
Of the House of Representatives.
Yeah, it's nothing.
So beyond just, the
symbolically, though, especially if
Democrats
are voting for it,
there really is no further
Might
penalty beyond that. But what I will say, in talking to Congressman Al Green just yesterday about this, I asked him if this was a planned protest on his part or if he just responded in the moment. And he told me it was pure spontaneity. He just felt that he needed to stand up, that he didn't agree with what the president was saying. And so that is how he wanted to express his disapproval. Interestingly, I would note, Chanel, obviously the House is now in recess, but right after this censure vote took place, there were a number of members that surrounded Congressman Al Green on the floor, some singing with him side by side. But
this is what I find interesting. This was taken when he was screaming at Trump, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
On the right side, all Republican. And if you remember from the address, like nobody cared. Like on the left, they had the little panels, but 10 Democrats. But how interesting, because the Senate right now is super close. It's almost 50-50, right? It's barely a few more.
51-49?
It's something along those lines, because if one person does not vote or somebody from the other side vote with the other side, it's like it becomes equal or they win. So, but 10 of them. That's it.
Wow. It sounds like a lot.
10 Democrats voted to censure
Al Green. That's interesting. And I guess it ties into your question of the day. And
My
while you were
point.
sort of logging out to do the microphone thing, I briefly touched on it. I think Trump is not necessarily the cause of it. I think he's a symptom of it. I think it's this culture shift that's happened, and it's happening everywhere you look. And I think the next, at some point we're going to see the Gavin Newsom video, and that's example of it. But we basically have been talking about this since this show started. This culture, this vibe shift, and what I think it is there's probably a lot of Democrats who, it's not that their mind has changed, it's just that now they know they can speak out against some of this stuff, and they won't necessarily be, excommunicated or shunned from their side. There's still a lot of pressure, but I think it's going to happen. It's a trickle right now. It's a trickle, but at some point it's going to, and just if you're practical, if you're just a political animal, because that's all Newsom is. I don't believe Newsom gives a shit one way or the other.
Hold on. Cut it.
Right.
Let us play the video before that. But
Yep.
the only thing I'm gonna say, I'm gonna disagree with you on the fact that it's not because of Trump. It is 100% because of Trump. He's not pushing people to do it, but by being who he is, by being elected, he's giving them the permission. You saw it the day that he was chosen. Super simple example. How long has he been dancing like an idiot like this? Like, that's how he dances. He can't dance worth a shit. He was dancing like that during his old presidency, but you weren't seeing a bunch of athletes on TV like Jon Jones doing this. But yet, when he got elected back in November, you saw it everywhere. Jon Jones does it during the UFC. NFL guys are doing it. Kids playing football are doing it. So it's kind of like he gave them permission to just go. He's not the one saying, "Hey guys, let's be less woke." But the fact that it's him, the fact that there's no longer real consequences to open your mouth, people are just going to open their mouth.
Yeah, I'll clarify a little bit. I like I said, I don't think it's because of Trump. I think the culture shift happened, but I think that's the environment that allowed Trump to come up. And for sure, the way that he is and him being in the presidency is also accelerating. It's like
he's enabling people.
Yeah, it's accelerating.
He's enabling people.
Yep.
Because for a guy like perfect, no, take the comment. No, go take the comment, man.
Oh, okay. I was just gonna say, Jason just give us the name of the Democrats who did vote against to censure Al Green.
I was looking at it this morning, and it seems like they were saying that those Democrats are more to the center. They're center Democrats. Like, I can't remember how they call them, like the dog something. They were
the dogs. Yeah, the dogs of the Democrats or something like that. Yeah. I know.
I'm not a Democrat, so I don't know what the hell is that.
It,
what the hell
it sort of
that
means
is,
like dinos, I guess. Democrats name only. Yeah. Sort of like
I'd rather be called a rhino than a dog.
Yeah. Well, like who's the West Virginia Manchin? Joe Manchin's kind of like the classic version of that, sort of the right-leaning Democrat.
Or just a centrist.
Yeah. I mean, that's really what we're talking about.
So let's check. So this is what happened with Al Green, and the next video is exactly why I was asking the question. Do you think that Trump is, I don't want to say forcing, but is allowing the Democrats to be less woke? I think that should have been the question.
Yeah.
Allowing it, because he's kind of opening up the door.
Encouraging,
enabling.
Yeah. Good one.
So this is an interview or a podcast that Gavin Newsom did with Charlie Kirk, which I was very surprised of Charlie Kirk for doing this interview. So actually, I wasn't surprised. Hold on. Let me rephrase that. I was not surprised by Charlie Kirk because he does interviews with lefties all the fucking time. I was surprised that Gavin Newsom would have the balls to have a Charlie Kirk, because Charlie Kirk's the type of guy that will call you out. He'll be very polite about it, and you better be prepared. Charlie Kirk comes guns loaded. He knows what he's talking about. If you're going to talk about woke stuff with Charlie Kirk, you better be fucking ready, because that dude is researched.
Well, and I mean, I'm sure you don't see a lot of libs or progressives on your timeline too much. Maybe you do. I don't know who you follow.
No, I do, actually.
But it sent shockwaves through the left. People, of course, were freaking the fuck out.
Same thing on the right. Same thing on the right. They're like, of course, people are like, what the fuck were you doing on this show? And I'm sitting there, I'm like, you know what? It stung me a bit. I'm like, oh shit, I didn't see that coming. What the fuck? And I'm like, no, actually, that's exactly what needs to happen.
Yeah, absolutely it does. Like how can we all inhabit the same space. We're all in the same society. How can we have to be able to talk to each other. It's just as simple as that.
It's just there's guys like I'll show you some stuff after the video. It's just that I really dislike Gavin Newsom. That guy is a menace. That guy's a snake. That guy is really one of the worst type of politicians. This is what surprised me by Charlie Kirk. Not the fact that he was on a leftist podcast, because he does it all the time. He debates leftists all the time. It's just Gavin Newsom is not a good man. Gavin Newsom is a snake.
And that's important to point out too, is that Kirk was on his podcast. He didn't go on Kirk's. Yeah.
No. It wasn't Gavin Newsom on Charlie Kirk's. It was
on
Charlie Kirk's on the new podcast because Gavin Newsom just started a new podcast, and that was like his first guest, I think.
It's going to be his presidential run podcast, right? That's what he's hoping for. He thinks he's going to get 2028.
Of course, Kamala Harris.
Right now should come out and be like, you know what? The young man who's about to win the state championship in the long jump in female sports, that shouldn't happen. You as the governor should step out and say no.
No, and I appreciate
but like, would you do something like that? Would you say no men in female sports?
Well, I think it's an issue of fairness. I completely agree with you on that. So that's easy to call out, the unfairness of that. There's also a humility and a grace, that these poor people are more likely to commit suicide, have anxiety and depression. And the way that people talk down to vulnerable communities is an issue that I have a hard time with as well. So both things I can hold in my hand. How can we address this issue with the kind of decency that I think, is inherent in you, but not always.
That fucking guy. So before we go, hold on. Before we go, let me show the video, because I found the video of the long jump that we're talking about.
Yes.
So just to put it into perspective. Hold on, it wasn't playing for some reason. Hold on.
No, it
Yeah, just let me reload it.
Yep.
This is the video right here. Like that. Power up back bear. The reaction of people, like, what the
Hernandez of Rupa Valley High School.
It was 8 feet longer than
that dude can grow a better beard than me.
Oh fuck yeah! It was 8 feet longer, and I think the whole thing was only like 30 feet. So like the next second place woman got like 22 or something, whatever it was. I know it was 8 feet. It's not even close, right? And I think I'm just reading Jason's comment here. I was actually going to ask him about that because he's big into volleyball, right? San Jose State. He's talking about Blair. Fuck, what was her name? Or his name. It was there was a male athlete, Blair Fleming. He's the volleyball player who caused a huge stir last year.
That cracked some skulls. Yeah.
Yes, and he caused a huge stir because there was like 4 or 5 schools that forfeited against San Jose State, I believe. And that really brought a lot of attention. But I mean, he was on that team as a scholarship. He took First, he took a spot on the team that should have gone to a woman. He took a scholarship that should have gone to a woman. So I don't see how on the left we don't see this as a fundamental women's rights issue. Somehow we've decided that any man who claims to be a woman, we can now shovel all women's rights towards them, and I don't agree with that.
This is the thing. I'm always happy to hear people evolve, change their tune, and just, you know what, I was wrong. That ain't fucking Gavin Newsom.
That's not what he's doing.
In no way, shape, or form will that guy ever apologize for what he's done. He will never say that he was wrong. He will never fucking go back on what he said. He will say, to me, Gavin Newsom's like Pierre Poilievre. He will say whatever he needs to say that's popular right now in order to gain more votes. Because at the end of the day, he's going back for re-election next year, and he's gonna be facing Kamala Harris in LA.
You think she's gonna run?
Oh, she said it. She's been very vocal about her intentions of. Kamala Harris wants to run, and then Timmy Tampon has suggested that he wants to run for president.
Oh my God! No, but don't do it, bro.
There's one thing I wanted to show, because one thing that is not discussed, like it's very cool about about Gavin Newsom saying those things to Charlie Kirk, and good on him, I guess, for having a guy like Charlie Kirk. But obviously, all he's doing, he's trying to scrub his image for next year, because November next year he's going to have to run for governor again because he's up for a re-election. So obviously we know what he's trying to do. He's going to try to go somewhere in the middle where he's not pissing off too many people on the left, and the right might, he's changed, he's become. But I wanted to make something very fucking clear. I don't know if you guys know what the Safety Act is in California. So I figured you didn't, and I wanted to explain it for the people out there that don't know what this is. Because I had to reboot my damn computer. I lost my page that was open on it. But basically, is it this one? There you go. I got it right here. So this is the guy that signed this act back in July last year, Gavin Newsom. And it just became law in January this year of 2025. So not even 2 months ago. So we're not talking about something that he's done years ago. We're talking, he signed this shit last July and it became law not even 2 months ago. This is the Safety Act in California, is a law that prevents schools from disclosing a student's sexual orientation or gender identity to parents or anyone else without the student's consent. So basically what he's doing is that he passed a law allowing confused children, indoctrinated children, to change their gender while at school, and the school does not have the responsibility or the legal demand to actually tell the parents. So this is the same guy we're talking. So when I heard that, I'm like, hey, fuck you. I remember that bill, bro. And that's why I pulled it off. But this is the same guy that, I don't know if you remember this, but do you remember when LA was still burning? He was on TV all excited. He's like, we already have, you literally see the houses burning in the background. It's like, we literally have people working right now and rebuilding LA 2.0, blah, blah. Hey, asshole. People lost their houses that they still
vibe was off.
Don't have. Like, are you kidding me? The fire was still going on.
He was giddy. It's almost, and it was like, you could tell he was like, oh, it's classic politics 101. Never let a good crisis go to waste, right? And I think that's the politics that people are sick of. You could see in that interview, like, no, there's nothing organic there. You can see him as he's speaking, triangulating every single word and imagining what each one would sound like in a focus group.
I can be both at the same. No, you can't.
Yeah.
You can't tell me you can't tell me with one breath that men don't belong in women's sports, and then telling me that it's okay for kids to act differently at home,
to hide that from the parents. You can't
legally protect the schools from having to disclose that. If my kid would never be in the school system, that's number one. But if my kid was in the public school system and there's something mentally wrong with my kid that I need to know,
you have to know that as a parent.
Are you kidding me? Like, why do you see? It always goes down. It always comes back to that, right? Why would you have to protect something if it's right?
Yeah, I agree. And the argument that they'll put, and I just think it's nonsense. That, oh well, if we told the parents, they'd be at risk of violent like nonsense. That is nonsense. Does child abuse happen for all kinds of reasons? Of course it does, and that's why there are laws against it. And you deal with that when it happens. The vast, overwhelming majority of parents just care about their kids, and they want to do what's right, and they want to raise them to be happy and healthy. And to do that, they need to know what is going on in their lives. To use if that were the case, why even give out grades? Because I'm sure that sometimes kids go home with bad grades and get smacked around by their parent, right? That happens, but we still give kids grades. So it's a nonsense argument what they're doing, what they're saying. Parents need to be involved in their kids' lives, period. Full stop. And it is not the job of the school or the education board to come in between a parent and now obviously if a kid's coming to school with bruises, or of course there's a role for the school to step in if they feel like a child is being abused. It is not their role to dictate how a child should be raised. And if a kid is going through what you would call gender dysphoria or some version of, they're so confused about who they are, they don't even know about their sex. Parents need to know that.
Agreed. 100% agree. I was looking, I don't know why my screen's not sharing right now. My laptop's giving me trouble. There's probably a Windows update that's running in the background that's fucking killing my laptop. But I had made a video about this when he came out, and he was so excited. Like, you could hear it in his voice. No. When the houses, I'm just trying to portray the type of person that we're talking about.
There was a, like, one of his constituents was chasing after him or something.
No, it was
there was another one like that. Do you know what I'm talking about? Yeah,
100%. I've made so many videos.
What are you doing? And he's there, kind of smirking and doing his hair.
No, that one was worse because he was literally smiling and giggling about how we're going to rebuild LA 2.0. The houses in the back end are still burning. So it's like he's so hypocritical. And I welcome those type of conversations. I'm really happy that a guy like Charlie Kirk went on his show and he just did what Charlie Kirk does. But at the same time, guys, don't fucking believe anything that snake oil salesman is selling. Like, that dude is full of shit. He doesn't give a fuck about you. He doesn't care about the trends either. It's just, to him, it's popularity contest. That's what he's doing. He does not care whatsoever. And now he needs to clean his image because he's trying to see that there's a shift going on. And people are like, but Gavin Newsom's not stupid. It's not because I dislike him that I think he's a dumb guy. He's not a dumb guy. On the contrary, that guy's probably very intelligent to be able to bullshit people like he does. My point is that don't trust what that guy says. Like, he hasn't changed. You can hear it in his speech. He doesn't care. It's just Charlie Kirk was there, so that's what he said. If he had another leftist on that show, I guarantee you he wouldn't have answered the same thing.
Oh, for sure. No, absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
One thing I didn't tell you about, I found a video. You know Jon Stewarts, obviously?
Yep.
So,
I really like him. I was disappointed on his take on the trans thing. I thought he was smarter than that.
Again, I don't think he's dumb. I think he's playing his crowd. He knows who's listening to his show, right? So he's not stupid. But he made a video this week about, he invited Elon Musk on his show, or Elon Musk said he would go on his show. I don't know if you saw that video, but for once, I actually agree with Jon Stewart. I'm going to tell you right now.
I agree with him a lot. I like a lot of stuff he says.
But it's just, this was funny because he's kind of calling out Elon Musk on something.
Or X'd, I guess, that he would like to come on here and talk to me as long as the show airs unedited. But after thinking about his offer, I thought, hey, that's actually how the in-studio interviews normally air. Is unedited, so...
That I know is bullshit. That I know is not true. Of course, they edit shit. It's not like it's live.
Yeah, I didn't think that. Like, I thought all shows edited it. Like, I don't.
Of course they do. So that's the part I disagree with Jon Stewart in that video. But the rest, I'm like,
sure. Jon Stewart cannot be trusted, and that I am a propagandist, and that I am not bipartisan. The guy who custom made his own dark MAGA hat that he wears to opine in the Oval Office with the president who he spent $270 million to elect thinks I'm just too partisan. I do have some criticisms about Doge. I support, in general, the idea of efficiency and delivering better services to the American public in cheaper and more efficient ways. And if you want to come on and talk about it on the show, great. If you don't want to, sure. But can we just drop the pretense that you won't do it because I don't measure up to the standards of neutral discourse that you demand and display at all times? Because quite frankly...
I found this interesting because a lot of the things that he said, I'm like, Doge needs to be there. he's not sure to which extent, and I think we're all there, right? Like,
Yeah.
which extent
Yeah.
should we be? So it was just interesting because even Jon Stewart, which has been bashing the right for years, like the only reason he has a fucking popular show on TV is because he bashes the right. His tune was not the same, even in the way he presented that. It seems like the door's a bit more open to be less woke. Did you notice? Like,
if you're
it's
aware of the vibe shift, you do
Yep.
start to see it everywhere. You start to see it everywhere, and it's a real thing for sure. And I think a lot of it is because even on the left, most of us don't really believe a lot of this shit. And as soon as we have permission to go back to the center, they're going to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big thing of what I'm trying to do with this show. You know, sort of my side idea on the left is just to give people on the left permission that you don't have to agree with a lot of this insane bullshit just to be a liberal or a progressive.
And it's just interesting because you saw that with Al Green at the beginning,
Yeah.
where Democrats are voting against a Democrat, which you wouldn't have seen last year.
Mhm.
Now you see Gavin Newsom trying to play the ball. He's a hypocrite, but still you see that he's trying to go that way.
It's newsworthy in the fact that he sees the shift and
Yeah.
is trying to get ahead of it. In fact,
Because he
Newsom is
wouldn't have done
probably-
that last year. I guarantee
No,
he would have never. Charlie Kirk would have been there last year if he invited him. He doesn't care about that. He would have been there. But there's no way Newsom would have ever
Newsom's
had
probably an
Charlie
excellent
Kirk.
barometer for this because you know he's always gonna go on the
Yeah.
shift, right? He's a flag that's always gonna go wherever the wind is blowing.
And
I think he's
Jon
the front runner
Stewart's
for
a good
2028,
example
to be
too.
honest.
For president?
For the Dems, yeah. I don't know who, unless they
Hey,
want to
man.
try Kamala again, but holy hell.
Oh no, but no, they're gonna have to. If they're smart, they're gonna develop a guy like Featherman. We talked about this before.
yeah.
Because Gavin Newsom, in my opinion, is as bad as Kamala Harris. I think he's worse than Kamala Harris in a way that he speaks better than her. Like, he's capable of putting sentences together
he's more
without
dangerous?
sounding. He's more dangerous, but he's as woke, if not woker. And you know, on the how do the woke call it, the barometer of importance of the
Yeah,
woke?
hierarchy of
He-
oppression or whatever.
Thank you. See, he's below because he's a white man.
White man, yeah, of course. So he
He's
has
not
to
a black,
overcompensate,
like
yeah.
a black woman, bro. On their scale is like if she was
Oh, a
handicapped.
trans woman of color.
Oh,
Holy hell! Like that's
but there's not a
orgasmic.
lot of thing. Oh yeah, there's not a lot of thing above Kamala Harris,
No,
but there's a lot of things above
For
Gavin Newsom. So I don't think it's a good call. They're just gonna get destroyed. But it really depends on how bad the Democrats want to change. But it will always amaze me, and I want to remind people that Trump has only been in power for now. That was the 6th week or 7th week. It's very hard to believe that it's
Like a long
been
time.
this short of time because it feels like he's been in power. I feel I've been speaking about this shit with you for like 6 months now.
How many
It's
hours
literally
did
been
you-
six
Well,
6 weeks.
How many shows? What show number is this?
31st in the span of 6 weeks.
Roughly 62 hours, give or
We-
take.
We really started saying, hey, we'll record like one show a week. The
One
week
show a
after,
week
I'm
for an
like,
hour,
hey,
and
bro, we should go 5 times a week, an hour a
Yeah,
day.
and
Now
then
we're
now
going
it's 2
times a week,
hours.
2 hours a day.
Keeps escalating and fuck.
But
So-
all to say that it seems that it's migrating more to the right, like somewhere in the
sure.
middle.
You mean like that Overton window is shifting, and I think that's a
Overton window,
necessary.
yep.
I think that's a necessary shift. And as a lefty, if that sounds scary, don't think of it as moving to the right. We're moving towards the center, in a
Yes,
rightward direction. Yeah,
We're moving to the right because everything.
there's nowhere else to go. You know, we're so
Thank-
far over here.
Yeah,
that's the only place.
that is exactly correct, sir. So
Just Jason here. People misunderstood
Yeah.
Musk when he said edited. Stewart knows damn well that the show is only a half hour and the interview at a max will only last 14 minutes. Have a hard combo for 14 minutes. Yeah. So, I mean, Jason's he's no Musk fanboy, but I think he also doesn't necessarily buy into the narrative of the left.
But this was my point too, right?
Yeah.
And this is what I like about Jason, and I think this is where we're very alike on this. I don't need to like you to agree with you.
Yeah.
Like
I mean, you
Stephen
guys
A.
hate each
Smith
other.
being
Like, you know, can't stand each other.
But but Stephen A. Smith don't like him. But if he's right, he's right. Same thing with Jon Stewarts. If I'm not a fan.
I mean, Gavin Newsom,
but
like, I'm
if
sure
he's
you
right,
agree
he's
with
right.
what he said there, even if you clearly
I don't
like
no,
him.
I don't, because I don't think that you can be both. This is where I think I don't agree with him at all. I agree with him that I'm happy to see a guy like him have Charlie Kirk, but I think Charlie Kirk was a bit dumb of going on his show because he's helping him out.
Well, so people on the left are
see,
freaking the fuck out about Newsom because they said he went on, or he had him on the show, and they just talked. They said he didn't challenge him, he didn't argue with him, and
but
it's
he
like,
can't. But he can't.
And it's okay to just talk, right? We don't need to. I think people are really sick of the media where everyone just, the only time left and right are getting together is to shit on each other. It's perfectly fine to, and that's actually not how real life goes. Like you know how online it seems like we're heavily polarized. If you go out in the real world, most people don't really talk politics. Like going down to this, I mean, maybe Alabama's a little different, but like I find as I go about my day up here, like most people don't really talk politics. Most people just don't give a shit who you voted for. They just want to live their life. They want to put food on the table and shit. So, I mean, most people don't have that thing. And I think that thing where you have to be attacking someone at all times. And I think broadly speaking, society's sick of it.
I wanted to show, because again, it does not stop. It's just going and going and going and going, because I found another thing that is kind of showing a vibe switch again. I'm just going to scroll in here. There you go. Disney is thinking about canceling their promotions for Snow White. Remember that it was supposed to be released, I think, last year.
Yeah.
They like, we're going to re-edit some stuff, we're going to delay. And now again, that's from yesterday, they're still pushing it, and it's because of the actress, right? Rachel
She's
Zegler.
terrible. She's terrible. But the plot itself, I think it was like, I don't need a Prince Charming to kiss me. I think it was like hashtag Snow White girl boss and this and that, and like, I don't know if she kissed
no, it
herself
was
or...
more than that. It was like Me Too movement, like a guy is kissing no, a guy is kissing an unconscious woman.
Sir, do you have
like
consent?
rape.
Do you have consent to save that woman?
Exactly.
Break that
Exactly.
spell? Fuck off, man.
But again, for Disney, like the wokest of the
right.
woke of companies are like,
maybe it's too much.
Even them, they're like, oh no, they did damage control when she opened her mouth. She was talking. But you know what's funny about this? This is another thing that I found absolutely hilarious. What's the name of the Israeli woman that plays in that movie? She's the queen that's jealous of Crackhead.
Did you see when they both walked out together on stage? I don't know.
That's my point.
Oh my
God!
Like
Gadot is like,
that's Wonder Woman in like literally every sense of the word. You know what I mean?
And that little girl that looks like a crackhead.
You got the extra from Snow White and the Seven Dwarves, or something. One of the Seven Dwarves showed up instead of Snow White, and it was funny. I don't know if we've got that clip, but yeah, she kind of like did the weird little walk, and it was and it's fun to dump on her a little bit because she seems so obnoxious. There's an award show the other day, the Oscars.
Oh yeah, that was the Oscar.
Gal Gadot and Rachel, whatever her name is. It was just a funny juxtaposition, if I get to use that word again, and twice in the same show.
Oscar,
yeah, like a acceptance speech or something. But man, holy shit, I didn't realize she was so small. The Rachel Zegler.
Oh, yeah, but I think that Gadot is also like 5'11", 5'10".
Yeah, she's statuesque. She's a very statuesque woman.
I'm not sure about the video you're talking about because I see a lot of stuff on the Oscar, but I'm not sure. Like personally, I don't think that Gadot is that good looking. I think she should eat a burger and gain some weight.
I'm Team Gadot. I'm Team Gadot.
Yeah, but I'm not saying she's ugly. I'm just saying I like curvy women. I like women with an ass, not a boy shape that does not talk to me at all. But to tell me that girl would be jealous of crackhead Rachel Zegler, like, come on. Come on. Like, they're not even playing the same sport when it comes to how good looking they are one next to each other. It's just, I thought it was funny to see her chirping on men, and she's the best one they could find to play I guess she's the only half black girl that they could find to play
Oh,
her.
I guess she is too, right? Yeah, I guess.
But I don't think Rachel Ziegler is a white girl either. Maybe
No.
I'm
Gal Gadot, she's Israeli.
she's Israeli that served in the military.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
that woman's actually a badass. I'm not a fan of her political views because she's kind of a leftist, but I have a lot of respect for her saying like she served in the IDF. That woman's not a bitch. Like that woman is I like her.
She'll speak
Like,
out
I
again,
respect her.
in defense of Israel and which is, whatever your position on that. Like, if you think all the blame is on one side, I mean, I just don't.
She's
think
Colombian. She's
Oh, is she
Colombian. My
really?
bad. Yeah.
So just Jewish Colombian.
She's Polish Colombian.
Who? Gal Gadot?
No. Gal
Oh, I got
Gadot
you.
is Jewish.
Rachel yeah.
Ziegler is a mix of Colombia and Polish. But as we say in white circles, she's white enough, I guess.
Do we say that?
I don't know. I say
yeah.
that.
When it's only the whites. After you say it, after you look around a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Like in the video earlier, like, are the black people laughing? Oh, okay, I guess I can laugh. I guess it's okay for me to laugh now.
Yeah.
I only have one more thing I wanted to talk about because I need to cut I need to be out of here like maybe 10 minutes prior to 1.
Yep.
Or
No worries.
prior to 3 or whatever the time it is prior to 2.
Probably,
But there was, I don't know if you saw that because earlier, we posted a video about Maxime Bernier, right?
Yep.
About how it would be the perfect opportunity for him to kind of try to get endorsed by Trump. And one of the things that you and I have spoken about, especially me, is that there is such a thing as the woke right. Like there is such a thing as people on the right kind of using the same, you know what we mean by the woke right,
the same
right?
like identity, but like identity politics. It's a different identity that they center and favor, but it's the same idea, right? Is that kind of what you're getting at?
Yeah. Well, there was, I don't know if you saw that, but I was commenting, this is the video we posted, and I think it's on the page. Yeah, it's on the Political Orphans. And I normally don't post as the Political Orphans. I normally post as me so that they know who's fucking talking. It's not, they're not confused if it's you or if it's I, right? But what was funny, so we saw this post yesterday. So the guy, March 6th. Yeah. So the guy says, my brother, it's time to stop. You're only going to split votes and fund another 4 years of vacation for Max. So clearly that guy's a conservative, right? He's a Pierre Poilievre fan. And so I responded to him saying, vote splitting. I was a Pierre Poilievre hopeful, but he's a liberal passing as a conservative. It's not my fault he played us. Do you not understand that Carney has already formed an alliance with the NDP? And I just go into just stating facts. This is just the reality of things.
Yep.
And so I'm saying I'm just saying, really, you're worried about vote splitting and our economies being destroyed in the back end. I have bigger concerns than are people going to vote the conservative or not? Because the way Pierre Poilievre's talking right now, I don't see much difference between, they're both going to destroy the economy if they say what they say, if they do what they're saying.
Yeah.
But so we get in an argument, but I'm always polite, right? Like I always try. I won't call people's name. I'll just stop talking to you if you go down that route. But people are jumping in it, right? People are I stopped commenting. I was doing other things.
That reel started a lot of debate for sure.
But people are going and people are going and people are going. But the guy basically at one point, so as you can see, people started going and going and going. And where did it go? See, even
we're looking for a specific response.
Oh, yes, because it kind of shows what I've been talking about when we say yeah.
Okay.
I kind of want to show this to the people on the right side that are more like me, for example, on how we need to be very careful not to use the same tactics as the woke has been using on us for so long. Man, I didn't realize that guy actually commented on so many of
Yeah, there's
man, we have a lot of comments.
Buddy calling us retards.
It's just that he said something that I really wanted to point out. You know why? It's because I'm not under the like I'm gonna go under the Poly Orphans where
Oh yeah.
all
You're on your
all
own,
of
right?
the things. Yeah. It's just I was on my own, so I don't see everything, obviously. But there's just one post that, and he did it to multiple people. He didn't just do it to me, which I'm like, okay, so we're seeing the type of people that are out there, but those are literally guys on the right side. Like they're people that consider themselves Republican.
Just
Jesus,
while you're
we had a lot of
while you're
comments. Yeah,
finding
go for
that,
it.
I'm just there's a looking at the stream on the Polio Orphans page, and there's a comment that for some reason sometimes when people comment on the actual post, it won't show up in here.
No, but it won't. All the posts that we're seeing right now come from YouTube. So we have, yep.
Well,
I normally
like Cindy here is from X. I think if you actually click on the post and go inside of it and then comment, I think it does show up here. But anyways, Ellie A, who is someone that I interact with regularly, who's a lefty, she says, this episode was so good. I think you guys, it's great. You guys both bring different perspectives. I love that Nico quoted Tim Keller. Which one was that? When did you quote Tim Keller? Was that the
that's when I was talking to Jason
church,
about it's my
Saints
favorite quote.
hospital,
I use it
hospital
all
for
the time.
saints? Yeah.
The church is a hospital for sinners and not a museum of saints.
I mean,
just saying that
I like
we're
it.
just fucked. We need a hospital, right? Like that's all I really like that quote. I think
if the church as a whole
it's Tim
stuck with
Keller.
that. Yeah,
I think it's Tim Keller. I'm
actually,
not
that's
sure
what
that
I
it
would
is
say.
him. All I know is that it's not me. That I know this is not. I quote it all the time. I'll give it to Tim Keller, but I've read so much about Christianity, I don't remember where I got it from.
I mean, I feel like if the Christian church stuck with that as their primary message, you know, they'd be in a much better place.
Yeah. Oh, I know what's going on. Oh, I think I'm seeing what he did. He went back. Oh, that's why I'm not finding it. I think he went back and deleted.
Do you think?
His actual
If you want to keep looking, I'll just go through some of the comments here. We've got a little
go
bit
for
of
it, man.
Jason, how can one preach unity, dialogue, and empathy and say, I'm not going to talk to that guy? That is Kirk's whole career, except this time he's not preying on the ignorance of college freshmen. Yeah, so if you're not familiar with Charlie Kirk, he's the guy who goes to colleges and basically makes a lot of them look really stupid because they show up with their sloganeering, and you know that's a big problem with the left is we haven't really put a whole lot of thought into our actual positions. We just memorize the slogans and repeat them ad nauseum. And obviously, when you go into the real world with that, it falls apart under the tiniest bit of scrutiny, and that is why, you know, so much of the left is about not even talking to people who disagree with you, because a lot of these positions, they just crumble like toilet paper. You know, putting your finger through a wet piece of toilet paper. Hopefully that doesn't happen. I don't know why I use that analogy, but it's not, you know, it is a problem on the left is, you know, you could think of your arguments, your positions as a weapon, right? You sharpen your weapon before you go into battle with it. And the way that you sharpen it is by engaging with people who disagree with you. You make the same argument again and again. I'm sure you know, Nico, like, you know, your pet causes, the things that you really feel strongly about, you know, those arguments inside and out. You can, like, I mean, I'll have, you know, if I'm debating someone on gender, that's sort of where I sort of cut my teeth, right? I'm quoting people, I'm you know, citing papers, like I know that stuff inside and out because I've honed that over a long period of time. But the left doesn't like to do that. You know, a lot of it is we've created an echo chamber for ourselves, and we only hear the things that we already agree with, and that's what you saw with Gavin Newsom. That's why they're all freaking out, because they're worried if they see an exodus of the left, a lot of left politicians who are just refusing to sort of, you know, cut people out anymore, who are willing to say, okay, I'm going to go out and actually talk to people on the other side. That's an existential threat to the way that the left is currently set up. So I think that's why, you know, it's pretty interesting to see the freak out on the left.
But, you know, even I didn't take time to go through. It's not the same. And when you go through comments through a small phone screen, and then when you do it from a laptop,
it's a big difference. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's so much easier. But there are so many people voting. Like basically, this guy here, Rob. This is the guy I'm talking about.
Yep.
He started calling us retards and started calling us names. So I'm like, the speech I always use for this is I'm like, okay, so basically, when you can't argue, insult. That is that is what the left does very fucking well. Like the woke
and
left.
It's both sides, but it's definitely mostly the left for sure.
For the time, but this is a righty. This is my whole point. For the past 10 years, or at least let's call it the past 4 years, since I've been creating content as a conservative, it's always the left that's gone at me and blah 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 blah. And they always call me names, all the name possible, just like Jason saying I hate women and I'm a racist, right?
Well, yeah, of course.
But that's what. So he starts with my brothers. That was his first comment. But then I start explaining. I'm like, so how is it? Because he talks about vote splitting. So I'm like, how is it Maxime Bernier's fault if Pierre Poilievre's a liberal? That's not his fault. Say, so what? He should stop talking so he doesn't. No, that's not how it works. So I just get and try to explain it. And at one point, he just starts calling me name. Yeah. And he blocks me.
Oh, really? Why?
So I try to respond to his message. Oh no, that happens to me all the time. Because you can't, again, because I told him from the get-go, I'm like, those who can't argue, insult. Great way to show your lack of knowledge. Why would you ever insult somebody that you do not know? Like, why not simply present your case so that we can have a conversation? So
it's
I think it's not there anymore because he deleted it. So if I would be curious, because I've never deleted a comment in my life. I will never ban anybody. I want people to engage with me, even if they call me names. I'll stop responding to you at one point, but I will never can you, block you, censor you, never. But what I found interesting is as soon as I called him out on his bullshit and presented a case as in, why not instead just engage the conversation? If you think that I'm right, no problem. If you think I'm wrong, sorry, no problem. Tell me why I'm wrong. And that's what I called him. He insults me, calls me name, then blocks me so that I can't respond. So I noticed it.
Classic bitch move, right?
But I went through the Political Orphans page and I'm like, I don't normally do this, but since you won't, but since you're going to play that game, just know that I can talk to you from here, bro. But he obviously he deleted his messages.
You don't know me, man. You think this is above me?
But this is not the first time I see that. I've been in so many arguments with people that just deleted all their comments and your comments disappear because they're attached to theirs. But this is a Republican. This is a conservative guy.
So
and this is why he blocked me, because I told him, I'm like, name calling is the same thing as the woke left has been doing to us for years now. So maybe you guys don't agree on ideology, but
a little bit. And
but what you're doing, you're using the same tactics as the woke left has done to me. Now you're doing it from the right side. So you, sir, are part of the woke right. He did not like that one, but call a spade, right?
Yeah, I was going to say that's actually an interesting sort of dynamic. It'll be interesting to keep an eye on that, because I suspect that there's a lot of behaviors that I think are currently left-wing coded that we think are associated with the left. For example, censorship, right? That's technically or generally has been associated with the left for the last 10 to 20 years. But I don't think that's actually a thing about the left. What I think that is that's whatever side is culturally dominant, and the left has been culturally dominant over the last 20 years. Now that you see the right sort of ascendant and eventually maybe get to the point where they're culturally dominant, I suspect you're going to see a lot more of that behavior shift over to the right, because the fact of the matter is, when you are the non-culturally dominant side, you really understand the value of free speech, because you're getting censored left, right, and center. And so it becomes a core aspect of your side, quote unquote. But I don't think, a championing of free speech, although it has been, seems like a right-wing thing over the last 20 years, I don't think it's inherently right-wing. And it'll be interesting to see how the right shifts and changes to become the thing that it's supposed to have hated over the last 20 years of the left as it becomes more culturally dominant.
This is funny. If Nico gets to use woke like it's going out of style, you can use just
I love that.
juxtaposition.
It's a great word. I'm gonna bring it
You-
back
you-
every time I use
yeah.
it on the show. Ding.
You feel kind of cool. I'm gonna
Yeah.
try to plug that word.
Speaking of thumping chest, it makes me.
And yes, Jason, he blocked me.
What a
And I
peon.
agree. I'm going to agree with Stephen A. Smith twice in the same week. What the fuck? Just because you won't talk to me doesn't mean I won't talk about. But you know what? No, but I would go even further than that. It's not because you don't want to talk to me that I don't want to talk to you. Because that guy, I get those. I've been getting those comments for years, man. I'm used to dealing with people, and I'm not going to call you names because I'm not going to act the way you do with me. I'm not. Because you know why? Because, a few months ago, I used to be very mean to people when they sent me. I'm like, you want to play that game? No problem. I'm a lot better than you at it, so I'll be an asshole. But I was meditating, and all I heard is love them. I knew exactly what it meant. That was just God telling me, stop treating people like shit just because you can. Because they treat you that way, it doesn't make it okay for you to do it. You should be better than that. So I stopped doing it. I tried to really, really engage with people like that, and I didn't lack respect to him. Now, am I going to be soft? No. I'm still going to have a chubby when I'm talking to him, right? But I'm still going to be straight up with him.
Yeah.
But
I
I'm
think
never going to run away from that conversation. Never.
I think it's
what the fuck's
it's
the
just
point?
good, just sort of good advice in general to anyone online. It is easy to like forget you're talking to a real person, and I've certainly made comments where I'm like, you know what, that was kind of mean.
That's what I was going to say. You know what I've come to do? Could I explain this when I meet God and he asks me about that if he asks me about that comment, can I explain it to him in a way that it makes sense? Would I look in the wrong if I had to explain myself? This is how I see my comments now. As I'm writing it, I'm like,
on April 28th, you told this man to suck a fat dick. What did you mean by that exactly?
God, I thought he was hot and I have a fat dick. So
okay, fair. Next.
But you know what I'm saying? I'm
Yeah,
really trying my best every time I respond, and I respond to hundreds, if not thousands, of comments.
Mhm.
Should I be saying this? Could I explain this? If somebody called me up on this, could I explain myself on this? Would it make sense, or would I have just been as bad as that person that called me?
Well, and that's just a good way to conduct your life. And I think we
think
all,
so.
especially if you spend any time online, we all fall into that trap. We all say things that we probably, shouldn't, and it's not good. And I think I think there's value, especially as men, to sort of take accountability for our words. And I'm just as guilty. And I think obviously sort of these conversations are kind of reminds you just to kind of check yourself a little bit.
This is the perfect segue to remind you guys that on Monday we will have Billboard Chris, because you're talking men issue. Yep. He's a big proponent of men issue. If you do not know who Billboard Chris is, you actually probably do. You probably know exactly who he is.
He's the guy who has a billboard.
He's a tall, white, bald guy wearing a big, how do you call them? A board? Yeah, it's a
billboard, literally, like a sandwich board or something.
Yeah, it's not a billboard really, but it's
he wears a big.
There's a. I'm gonna show.
Yeah,
I'm gonna show it to people.
But it's
almost like he's trying to sell you sandwiches or something.
Yes, yeah. That's exactly what. Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? This is what it reminds me of. Obviously, that's not what he's doing.
Pay the guy to stand outside your sandwich shop to have the specials of the day or whatever.
That's exactly what it looks like. Yeah.
But it's going to be a great talk because obviously we're going. He's a world class sort of gender activist, so we're going to talk that. But it's not going to be just that. I think we're just going to we're going to talk politics a little bit. I'm sure because he's quite political. I don't know if you've seen his feed. He's got interesting takes on the tariffs that actually mirror, I think, both of ours. One thing I saw the other day, he was telling all of our leaders to fuck off with this reciprocal tariffs. It doesn't help us, and let's just
because he's Canadian, right?
Yep, yeah, he's from BC, and he's also a big proponent for sort of men and sort of uplifting men, and so I'm sure we'll get into that. It's just going to be sort of, I guess 3 guys shooting the shit and sort of really digging into it. So this is Chris here. He has sometimes a billboard will say something else like puberty is a human right, but this one, children cannot consent to puberty blockers, which of course they cannot. There's simply no way a child is able to understand the damage that does to their body. These are the same drugs that we use to chemically castrate sex offenders, by the way.
100%.
Lupron, the number one puberty blocker, that they give it to sex offenders who get chemically castrated. So if you think that's a good thing to be giving to developing children's bodies, I don't know, man. I don't know what to tell you, but you know, you're so far gone. There's no point in even having a discussion. For the rest of the adults in the room, you know, we understand that there's serious issues there. You know, puberty is a human right. It is, you know, and the way that that's sold.
Don't go down.
No,
No, stop.
We'll talk to Chris about it.
This triggers you. Like that word is like, and you just start.
Yeah, it's my bread and butter for sure. That's my.
But all to say that Chris is going to be on Monday, 12 noon Eastern. So if you have questions, make sure to show up. Make sure to send us some messages if you want. I always look, even if you don't follow me. I always look in my crapshoot of messages. So if you have questions you want us to ask him, let us know. We'll be asking him questions.
And of course, same thing live. Like when we have a guest like that, we probably won't be stopping to answer every single question the way we do normally. But if there's a good one, we'll certainly and there's an opening for it.
No, but that's why I'm asking people to do it prior. If you want to send us some questions, but I'm always looking. I'm always looking at the comments in here. I'm gonna have to figure out how I can look at all the comments. How did you look at the comments on X as we were going?
The one I was just talking about was if you go to the Political Orphans, our account there, just the stream for this show. If you go in, there's one comment that says it's from Ellie A.
I get it. So you want to
now
basically
if you actually click on that though, it brings you to another screen where there's also a comment bar, and I think that's the one that will get you.
Yeah, I get it. I get it right here.
Yeah, I'm just gonna
LEA saying this episode was so good. I love that Nico quoted Tim Keller. I think it's great that you bring different perspectives. Yeah, okay, I see exactly what you're. So I'll start doing that. I'll start doing it as I'm due. It's just I can't. You'd have to monitor yours.
Yeah, I do.
Because it's restreams all the place. So I'll have to monitor mine. You'll have to monitor. Like I can monitor this one.
Yep.
Man, I wish there was an aggregator that I could just
this
have.
one was pretty good because we do get the YouTube ones, but it would be nice if like all of them came in. But
yeah, no, agreed. But yeah, I wanted to thank you guys for just being here, man, for just spending that time with us. We really appreciate every single one of you. If starting today, just as a reminder, starting today, I'm gonna restream the episode. So they will be restreamed between 7 to 9 p.m. So if you're seeing it, it's not live right now, but we just think that we need to expose more people to this content. So if it's playing between 7 and 9, it's not live, but I will be monitoring the chat. So if you comment, I can still answer through the comment sections. But we want to thank you too. Even if you're not watching this live right now, we appreciate every single one of you. And thank you for being here. Make sure to like this stream, but don't just like it, stream it. Or share it, sorry. Share it on your page. If you're on X, you're capable of taking that stream, share it. So show it to other people that you think might enjoy this show. If you like Rob, make sure to follow him on X at Rob_the_builder. If you haven't followed the show yet, what the fuck you're waiting for?
Yeah, exactly.
Follow. Yeah, let's get on that. At the Poly Orphans on both X and YouTube. And if you want to follow me, especially follow me on X, because that's the only platform I have left to build. So follow me on X at Real Nico Lagan. I don't know if you have something you want to add to this.
Just echo what you're saying, Nico. We really appreciate you guys coming here. I mean, it really makes all the difference in the world. I remember when Nico, when you said we were going to do this live, I was like, really live? Because I had in mind that we would do it filmed, but it's far and away by far better for especially for what we're trying to do. Like we're trying to build a community here, and you guys really make that for us. And so we really can't thank you enough. With that, I hope you guys all have an excellent weekend, and hopefully we will see you Monday to talk to Billboard Chris.
Bye-bye.